You have announced that you are running for U.S. Senate now. That another big decision, very exciting decision. And in the backdrop of what we were talking about kind of what's happening in Washington and how just concerning all of what we were talking about, the economy and the rule of law and everything that's going on. Tell me about that decision to run for Senate and what you hope to bring to the body.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think a couple of things. One, like so many, I was devastated after the last election. And I think there were a number of people who kind of felt like, I'm just not sure what I can do, how much more I can give. And for me, that was really a moment for me to say, this is a time to lean in. I woke up to my youngest daughter in tears as she heard about the outcome. And I just felt like this was a moment not to give up or to give in, but to say, you know what more can I do? I didn't know that there would be an opportunity, and I didn't know what more looked like for me. But I knew that I had fight in me, and I knew that there were so many people who were going to be worried about what their future looked like, what the future looked like, not just for them, but for their children and their children's children. And so I just started thinking about what else could I do. And so thought about it both as lieutenant governor, just as a just as a human being, how do I stay engaged? How do I lean in? And a couple of months later, and I started just kind of, preparing, wasn't sure what the future would hold. I knew that Senator Dick Durbin, who has served our state, admirably for so many years, has been a real champion for the working families of Illinois, and actually played a really important role as I started, out in public life and giving me some pointers and encouragement as I ran for office. When he decided that he was not going to run for reelection in 2026, I was ready because I started, putting things together to say, if this really happens, I want to be prepared and ready because that's the urgency of this moment. And so he announced, and I quickly got things together and announced that I would be running for United States Senate to fill that vacancy. I enjoyed 10 glorious days with, of just out there on my own and letting people know. And I was proud to earn not only the governor's endorsement, but Senator Tammy Duckworth, who will be our next senior senator, who endorsed my campaign. Ambassador Carol Moseley Braun endorsed right after that. She was the first Black woman to head to the United States Senate. And after that, I just have been gaining what I believe is, I'm confident is a winning coalition. And these are people from all across the state of Illinois. So it wasn't, like I said, this sort of grandiose plan. But what I did know is that what I've said earlier, people are looking for a fighter. And I'm proud that I can look them in the eye and say, I will be that fighter for you. And I also know, though, that you can't just say, I'm going to fight and talk about what you're against. You have to talk about what you are for. And what I am for is the kinds of things that we have already done here in Illinois. I believe Illinois is a blueprint. I believe Illinois is the blueprint for the kind of progress that we need to make at the federal level. Will it be easy? No. But I've never shied away from challenges. And in fact, as I said, when we got into office, it was a challenging time. But by working together, by having a bold vision, by making sure we were clear about our values and centering the voices of middle-class families across our state, look what we've been able to accomplish. We raised the minimum wage. It was $8.25 when we took office. It's now $15 an hour in Illinois, lifting so many people out of poverty and giving people in lower wage jobs just a real opportunity to advance economically. It's still at $7.25 at the federal level. Who can raise a family on $7.25 an hour? So I want to see that kind of work done at the federal level. We've protected reproductive freedom here in Illinois and a woman's right to choose. And that's not just an important thing to do from a health and reproductive rights standpoint. It is, to me, should be a fundamental right to decide what's best for your own body. but it's also an economic issue. The decision of whether or not to bring a child into this world or to have a family, to start a family and grow a family, there's an economic argument behind that. And we need to recognize that. Well, we're seeing women's rights, just a total disregard for women and women's rights at the federal level. And I want to fight for that. So I think this is an opportunity to bring new voices, new perspectives, new ideas and energy to Washington. And that's exactly what I look forward to bringing as the next United States Senator for the great state of Illinois.